Render. Okay, the meeting's live. Thank you very much to all the devotees for joining online on Facebook. I'll share this wonderful video by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada talks about the importance of surrender and initiation. And he talks briefly about the whole system of initiation and what it actually means. So this is the video that I'm sharing here. And it's about 48 seconds. So we'll have a discussion after we watch the video. Let me share the sound. All right, share the sound. Okay, there we go. Let's watch it.
To Guru.
Okay, it almost starts here.
Surrender to Guru. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. The official initiation has no meaning unless one who has fully surrendered to Guru. There is no question of initiation. Dibbogyan hriday prakashit. Dibbogyan means transcendental knowledge. So to play tricks with Guru, to become diplomat and intriguer, these rascaldom will not help Bhagavad Bhakti. You can get some other things, some material profit, but spiritual life will be spoiled.
Huh? How about that? Let's watch it again.
That's totally amazing.
So let's watch it again. It's only 48 seconds.
Surrender to Guru. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. The official initiation has no meaning unless one who has fully surrendered to Guru. There is no question of initiation. Dibbogyan hriday prakashit. Dibbogyan means transcendental knowledge. So to play tricks with Guru, to become diplomat and intriguer, these rascaldom will not help Bhagavad Bhakti. You can get some other things, some material profit, but spiritual life will be spoiled.
Huh?
What year?
I have no idea what year this was. But obviously, yeah, I can find out actually. Let me find out.
Vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena
Let's see, let
sevaya.
me look at some keyword. The tricks on Guru.
The official initiation has no meaning.
Okay, let me look it up. So it's 48 seconds. It's pretty much very clear. Unless one fully surrenders to the spiritual master, Uttama Adhikari, spiritual, there won't be any spiritual life, basically.
Yeah, well, people want to play it. Basically, it's religion.
Yeah.
In a religion, you can do any damn thing.
What does Prabhupada mean by the Guru?
The Guru means the person who has actually surrendered to Krishna and is a self-realized part and parcel of Krishna.
And he surrenders to Krishna on our behalf?
He is surrendered to Krishna because that's the natural state of the living being, is to be surrendered to Krishna. But when you become his disciple, he teaches you to also surrender. Not because he wants anything from you, but because he wants you to have the opportunity to surrender to Krishna as well.
So the Guru is Krishna.
Well, the Guru, in the ultimate sense, the Guru is Krishna, but the Guru that we're talking about is a part and parcel, is a jiva like us, who is part and parcel of Krishna like us.
He's not like us.
Well, he's a
Mahabhagavat. He's a great soul. He's not like us.
He's not a jiva?
He's a jiva.
Shaktavesh avatar, yes.
There's another word. He's a nitya siddha. He's an eternally liberated jiva.
Yeah, but that is like us. We are jiva.
We're nitya baddha. We're nitya baddha.
That is just a temporary category. We are jivas, which means that we're not true, then there'd be no point in taking initiation, right? If you're going to be a Nityabadha forever, then what's the point to be initiated?
Oh, well, let's talk about the current situation and the distinction. On the spiritual platform, every living entity is a spirit soul. That we understand. That we understand. But even then, there's categories of realization and devotees, the three levels of devotees Rupa was talking about, the Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari, right?
Yeah, but the Kanishta Adhikari...
Kanishta Adhikari is also a jiva. Madhyama Adhikari is also a jiva. And Uttama Adhikari is also a jiva. That we understand.
Yes.
So
but the Kanishta, we've gone over this many times, but the Kanishta Adhikari is like us. We are on the material platform, and you can tell the Kanishta Adhikari because he has to obey the four regulative principles. If he didn't have to obey the four regulative principles, he'd be a liberated soul. But he's not. He has to remember to follow the four regulative principles.
No,
but then the Madhyama Adhikari is
Rupa was saying something else. Rupa was trying to make a distinction between the jivas. We understand Prabhupada is a spirit soul.
Yes.
But not, just like we are spirit souls. But she was trying to say that he's not an ordinary.
He's a Nitya Siddha soul, and we're Nitya Badha souls.
Yeah. Oh, we're hopefully transitioning out of Nitya Badha. But the thing is that
easier said than done.
In terms of the quality, there is no difference between Prabhupada and you in terms of being a jiva.
I don't agree with that.
Right? Okay,
I don't
what
agree.
is the difference?
Nitya Badha and Nitya Siddha.
Yeah, it's like saying Prabhupada.
What about jiva tattva?
Prabhupada is not jiva tattva. He's Shaktava Shavata.
He's Guru Tattva.
No, he is jiva tattva, and that is possible to be a Shaktava Shavatar as jiva tattva. The jiva tattva means
he's Guru
that you're
Tattva.
not Krishna.
He's Guru Tattva.
Yes, but Guru Tattva is jiva. Are you saying that Prabhupada is not a jiva?
No, I'm not saying that.
Well, that's what you're saying. That's what I'm saying is.
Is Lord Balaram a jiva?
No. Balaram is Vishnu Tattva. He is equal to Krishna.
So Prabhupada is Guru Tattva, so he's Guru to us.
He is Guru to us, but Guru Tattva doesn't mean he's not Jiva Tattva. It just means he's a Jiva Tattva on the perfectional level. I mean, you're trying to say that the Guru is Krishna? The Guru is not Krishna. Rupa? Hello?
She said just a few seconds.
Oh, okay.
Okay, she'll be back. So this quote that you told me to look up, this is from 1974. I'll read it out aloud. The official initiation has no meaning unless one who has fully surrendered to Guru. There is no question of initiation. Divya Gyan Riddhe Proshito. Divya Gyan means transcendental knowledge. So, to play tricks with Guru, to become diplomat, to become intriguer, these rascaldom will not help. Bhakti, Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga. You can get some material things, some material profit, but spiritual life will be spoiled. So this is...
But do you see that Prabhupada is speaking 4 years after the GBC rejected the direction of management?
Yeah, it was never
the
implemented.
disciple cannot reject the direct order, what to speak of the direct written order of the spiritual master.
Yeah.
Therefore, Prabhupada was directly addressing the GBC without mentioning them by name.
By that standard, I'm not a disciple because I haven't surrendered completely. I do a million things that I shouldn't do.
That's not the point. The Kanistha Adhikari is transitional. Do you understand? The Kanistha Adhikari, all you have to know about Kanistha Adhikari is Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. I am spirit soul. When you come to the Madhyam Adhikari platform, that's different. And you begin to realize that you're not Brahman, you are now under the guidance of Paramatma. And when you reach the Uttamadhikari platform, you're in your direct rasa with Krishna, and that has nothing to do with Kanistha Adhikari or Madhyam Adhikari. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we're not mistaken there at all. So you are a Kanistha Adhikari. We're all Kanistha Adhikaris. Put it this way, it's safe to say that we were all Kanistha Adhikaris. And the Madhyam Adhikari stage comes later under the direction of Paramatma.
Right.
We've talked about that many times. The Paramatma stage means that you're working your way out of Kanistha Adhikari toward Uttama Adhikari. And Paramatma will guide you, Vishnu will guide you up to the platform of pleasing Krishna directly, which means Uttama Adhikari. Does that make sense, Rupa?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, so there's no discrepancy there whatsoever.
Okay. Okay, so now, anyone have any questions, comments, realizations, or anything they'd like to share that they've been studying, or realization they'd like to say before we go on to the next topic or next point of discussion? Anyone?
One small thing, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, follow. Yes.
Yeah. So one small thing that I have observed is, in so many places I've seen, even in books, like usually a guru, giving diksha is like a very long process. It takes, a disciple will go serve, around 12 years or so. And then, a guru would test the disciple in so many ways. And, even till today, I have heard in some sampradaya, like a person would go to try to take initiation, and the guru would say, just go and sweep the street. And now, for a year and a half, 2 years, they are just sweeping the street, and no salary, no nothing. Like so you just have to take the order and serve for years and years and years and get tested in so many ways. And then guru would try to give you your answer to your questions, and and then later on, once he see okay, then try to give you initiation. But Prabhupada was so merciful that he never ever denied anybody. I heard one story in Europe that he gave initiation to a person who are just he was so on the street and completely mentally on such level, and but he showed mercy, to him, to everybody, anybody came to him. Yeah. So
the way Prabhupada would do it is that the person had to be willing to follow the 4 regulative principles. They would have to be able to shave up, be clean, dress in the saffron cloth or whatever, white cloth, saffron cloth. And in that state, if they wanted to take initiation, Prabhupada would generally give them initiation, assuming that they were sincere.
sure, nice. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
in terms of this long, complicated system, that went out the window a long time ago. Because Prabhupada came to America. He initiated women to be Brahmins. I mean, I like to say that due to Gorkashore Das Babaji, that Gorkashore Das Babaji introduced into the Sampradaya the principle of contrarianism. And contrarianism means going against the rules that you expect to follow. Now, if Prabhupada had followed all of the instructions of Thakur Bhaktivinoda and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he could not have even left India to come to America, because it's prohibited for a Indian Vaishnava to leave India and go to a place like America. So it was because of Gorkha Chordas Babaji being a contrarian that he enabled Prabhupada to do things that were completely opposite the training that you would expect in the Vaishnava Sampradaya. Do you understand that clearly?
Yeah,
Principle.
sure. Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So how otherwise could he initiate a woman? How otherwise could he initiate a woman and give her the Gayatri mantra to chant? I mean, to be a Brahmin, how could she do that? It's not possible. But he did it because he was breaking all the rules in order to get people to become devotees of Krishna. And it worked gloriously. It worked spectacularly. And the movement spread all over the world because of what he did.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, he didn't actually, took advantage of any rule, like, get a free labor for over a decade and then decide to give diksha or not. He just gave some basic principle, and whoever was, genuine, sincere, and wanting to follow and make progress, he just, did not deny and just give initiation.
Right.
And was a
Now, the guru that you described, he is not protecting the disciple, he's protecting himself. He's protecting himself from the potential sinful acts of the disciple. Right? Otherwise, why is he doing it?
Yeah.
It's not that he's, you have to wait and all that. So the disciple thinks, he's making me wait and all of that. But the actual fact is that the guru is simply protecting himself. He's protecting himself from being driven down by the action of his disciple. There, even a couple of 100 years ago, if a person became a guru and he initiated someone and that person fell down, I think this is in the writing of Thakur Bhaktivinoda, that he would have to go to his godbrothers, throw himself at their feet, weeping, and beg them for forgiveness for having initiated a person capable of falling down. But Prabhupada had so many disciples that fell down. But he considered it worthwhile because he wanted everyone to have the chance to become a devotee of Krishna. And it worked great. Became a global movement. Right? So it wasn't that Prabhupada was not trying to protect himself or his reputation or his godbrothers or their reputation. He was simply delivering fallen souls on the order of Lord Chaitanya, because Lord Chaitanya's standard is that anyone who chants Hare Krishna once or hears Hare Krishna once, the mantra Hare Krishna, like that, anyone who hears once will eventually go back to Godhead. He will go back to Godhead, but he has to, of course, become purified first. But it's not as though that he will be in this material world forever because he is so unqualified. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Perfect sense. Beautifully said. Yeah.
Is that okay with you, Rupa Manjari?
Yeah, I like that.
Great. Nice.
He needs to surrender to the guru.
Well, he surrenders to the guru, but if he falls down, Prabhupada took the risk that some of his disciples, people he gave initiation, they will fall down. But think about this. If they practice Krishna consciousness a little bit, if they chanted the Hare Krishna mantra once, if they heard the Maha Mantra once, they go to a kirtan program and they hear the Hare Krishna mantra, then they say, I took initiation, but I'm out of here. I don't want to do this anymore. If they do that, they are not prohibited, because they are going to go back to Godhead. I like to put it out that the person is there with his kirtan and the airplane ticket for back to Godhead is in his pocket. He said, oh, good. When do I get on the airplane? Well, that depends on when you become free from material desire. When you give up your karmic attachment to your body, then you can start talking. But you're going to go back to Godhead. It's just a question of now you get yourself purified. That shouldn't be a big deal. Would you rather become purified than not go back to Godhead? You know what I mean? Is Ramachandra here?
Yeah, I'm here. Prabhupada says here, yes, Krishna says, Sarvadhanman parityaja mamekam. Is that all right? That is faith. This is beginning of faith. Now, to keep the faith or to increase the faith, you have to live with faithful servants of Krishna. Then Prabhupada says, with this institution, the center is meant for giving a chance to the common people to get association of devotee. Adao Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu means those who are well behaved in Krishna consciousness, not upstarts. They are called sadhu. So those who are living in this temple, they must be strictly very well behaved, so that whoever may come out of Shraddha, if he sits down for some time and sees your behavior, then he'll be influenced. So Prabhupada is saying here, what point I wanted to make was here that Prabhupada is saying with this institution, this center is meant for giving a chance to the common people to get association of a devotee. So you were saying that Prabhupada, gave freely initiation, so he was giving that.
Yeah.
Anyone who came to him with, some service, he accepted it, and then he reciprocated.
Let me simply give an example.
Sure.
That when I joined the Krishna consciousness movement, somebody joined 6 months before I did. That was Vishnu John Swami.
Yeah.
And I like to joke that he could not even pronounce he could not pronounce Vishnu's name correctly. He would say Garbo Daga Shayi Vishnu Karuna Daga. So you can see he was not knowledgeable, right?
Right.
But he was well behaved. He followed the regulator principles.
Yeah.
And even though he did not know how to pronounce the names of Vishnu nicely, and he instructed me how to
There's a lot of Prabhu, you got to stop what you're doing in the background. It's coming out a lot of noise.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
please. Yes.
And that he pronounced it very badly, yet he remained a faithful devotee, and he remained a faithful devotee until his death.
Right.
And he became more and more knowledgeable with time.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhupada says you must strictly follow the regulated principles as given to you by your spiritual master. You must follow. Then people will come in contact with you. They will be benefited. Adao Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha. And if he regularly makes Sadhu Sangha, then the effect will be he will try to become a sadhu. That is initiation. Initiation means the beginning of becoming a sadhu. Not that after initiation immediately he becomes a sadhu. No, if he follows just like we instruct you, you chant at least 16 rounds, you have no illicit sex, you cannot take any meat, fish, eggs, or you cannot have any intoxication up to drinking tea and smoking, and we say no gambling. This is the process of becoming a sadhu. So this is the program for elevating the kanishta adhikari, drunkard or whatever they may be, to a level of devotee, by this
Yeah.
process.
So you can see that that's very different than the example that was given, how the guy has to go sweeping the streets for 10 years or something of that sort.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Rupa Nuga Prabhu. He mentioned that anyone who joined the temple, chanted 16 rounds for 6 months, and then followed the regulated principles, they were eligible for initiation. So look at that, such a standard that was never,
Well, sometimes it would not even be 6 months. Sometimes
Yeah,
it would be
yeah.
1 month.
Yeah, even 1 month. Yeah, so it depends on their, I guess, where they were and circumstances. Yeah, so this is
Well,
this
you see, what would happen is if we got sometimes 10, 15 devotees joining all at once. Okay? Are you there? 10 or 15 devotees joining all at once.
Yeah,
So they would encourage each other, and they would be encouraged by the devotees that had been there longer.
right.
So the devotees who've been there longer set a very good example. So these devotees made such rapid, accelerated and spiritual advancement simply by the association of people who joined 6 months before they did.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah, they made so much rapid advancement. Yeah, it's just
So
unimaginable.
that's the concept of the Hare Krishna explosion, is that people can make very rapid advancement if they have no reason not to.
Right. Yes.
You see what I mean? If you have no reason not to make advancement, then why not make advancement?
Yes.
But if there's all sorts of crookedness going on in the temple, then you say, why I will be following so nicely and crookedness is going on around me.
Yeah, which is
So that's
Yeah.
what's more or less taking over Iskcon right now.
exactly. Yeah,
Is that
I
there's
asked-
so many schemes, how to make some money, how to make
exactly.
a salary like that. That's not acceptable.
Yeah. So I asked this wonderful question to Bashu Ghosh, and let's see what he replied. I'll show you here. Bashu Ghosh here. So I showed Bashu Ghosh Prabhu this part of the bylaws of the
Wow.
GBC of West Bengal, GBC Society of West Bengal. This is number 3 from their so-called Sri Mayapur Dhamma bylaws. GBC refers to the governing body commission, which is ISKCON's highest ecclesiastical authority. The GBC, hear very carefully here, the GBC is a distinct body, independent of this corporation, and operates under its own rules, regulations, and principles. Is that clear? The GBC is a distinct body, independent of this corporation, and operates under its own regulations and principles.
But it doesn't say what is the authority of those principles.
Yeah, they don't say that. Then they go
I mean,
say,
so if there's authority, that means there should be something in writing, right?
yeah. So here, then the next thing they say, the GBC is registered in West Bengal, India, under the Societies Registration Act 1961 registration number, with its registered office located at P.O. Box, Sri Mayapur Dham, District, Nadia, West Bengal, India. So any temple that is an ISKCON temple needs to submit to these bylaws. So part of this is that they are governed by these people in West Bengal.
Yes, except that how do these people in West Bengal establish that they have the authority to do exactly what they say in that statement?
Yeah, so this is the problem here. No one ever questions that. People are too stupid, or something, or they've, I don't know what to say. These things. I'm pulling it up. That
Right.
why are people
Oh.
following this nonsense when Prabhupada says each temple is supposed to be its own identity? The charter is, the charter is all that matters. And the training that Prabhupada gave. And the
it's
philosophy,
very straightforward and simple, and A plus B equals C.
Yeah, why they have to follow this nonsense GBC Society of West Bengal, and they're a distinct body independent of this corporation and operates under its own rules and regulations and principles. What the hell does this mean? That Prabhupada.
So I asked Jidarati, and I were talking about a whole bunch of things, but I asked Jidarati about that. I said, is there any indication in your knowledge of Prabhupada having signed over any power to the GBC as they didn't become by signing the direction of management, by following the direction of management? Did Prabhupada ever sign anything that gave them the sort of independent power that they're claiming that they have in West Bengal? And Jidarati said, no. He studied it all very carefully. He's very intelligent. That he said, no, there is no such. Prabhupada never authorized them to do what they're doing here, nor can they do that without the authorization and with the direction of management existing and them not signing it. They are at default with their spiritual master and with Iskcon.
Yeah, so this is the document that is ruling all the temples basically in North America. This is what they have to agree to.
Probably all over the world. No?
Yeah, all over the world, basically.
And any prospective disciples need to sign a whole stack of contracts alleging their allegiance to the GBC Society of West Bengal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so
you see here, Prabhu, what's going on here. Prabhupada did not establish this GBC Society of West Bengal. Prabhupada established the original Iskcon constitution or incorporated papers.
Direction of management.
Yeah, and then the direction of management, and then the topmost urgency letter, and then the BBT, and that's about it. The BBT document, which was different for the book.
Simple and sweet.
Simple and sweet. So now you're seeing.
I said simple and sweet.
Yes, simple and sweet. And undefeatable.
Yeah. So now when I'm doing this research, more and more things is coming up to the surface of how they've hijacked. They have, those temples that were originally incorporated by Srila Prabhupada it's being replaced with these documents. They come in, they take over, and they pledge allegiance to this so-called GBC Society of West Bengal. And it's no longer Srila Prabhupada's movement because Prabhupada did not create this.
Right. And it doesn't matter.
They usurped Iskcon and all of Iskcon's assets legally.
No, they didn't do it legally. They did it illegally.
Well, they made it look legal.
Yes.
No, it didn't look legal. At what point did it look legal? What did they do that looked legal?
They made their own incorporation.
What?
They made their own incorporation.
That doesn't affect Iskcon. That's the GBC.
Yeah.
Does the GBC state that they have rights over Iskcon?
Yes.
But
and then all of Iskcon's assets, temples, books, people, service, it's all assets, and they're the beneficiaries of those assets.
Yeah, but isn't it clear that if one were able to go into the large enough court of law let's just say, for the sake of argument, the court of Yamaraj, that if you went into the court of Yamaraj with a case, wouldn't you win against the GBC?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the court we're dealing with. It's not, it would be nice to deal with courts on a smaller level, but if it's the court of Yamaraj, we can settle for that. Right?
Yeah.
They may win the battle, but we're going to win the war.
Not winning anything.
They're not going to win.
It's a first class ticket to Yamaraj's court.
Yeah, exactly. That's the entire point. I mean, what do they think they're going to end up with? They think they've got all this legal stuff worked out, but they haven't, because they have not connected. Put it this way. Let me ask you a question, Ramachandra. Have they connected the GBC to Iskcon in any legal way?
Absolutely not. It's not what Prabhupada created, nor Prabhupada said to do this.
Yeah, they can say they did.
They can say anything. Anyone can say anything. But is it approved by Srila Prabhupada? Is it written and signed by Srila Prabhupada? Is it what Prabhupada wanted? You know, that is the question.
That's the whole point.
And
the exact point.
And then I asked Bashu Ghosh this question, and look what Bashu Ghosh, he's a leader of Iskcon in India, and just see what he says here.
Let's see what he says.
Yeah, this is very interesting because we're asking the top leaders in India. I asked Bashu Ghosh Prabhu this question here. Let me share the sound. Here, I asked him this audio question.
So that begs another question. Why would someone who...
Okay, not this one. We'll go to that one next. This is the question I asked about. Where is it? I'm trying to ask a question. Where is it?
That's the trouble with those things. It's hard to keep track of them.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm asking this question here about the GBC Society of West Bengal, created in India by a group of men. I'm trying to find out who are this group of men.
Maharaj, I have a question. I was wondering, why have they created a GBC Society of West Bengal and they're having temples incorporate under that bylaw? They have a GBC of West Bengal in somewhere in the swamp? Or what was the reason for the creation of the GBC of West Bengal? And it's not a Prabhupada created organization. You know, Prabhupada wanted the temples to be independently incorporated under the banner of Iskcon, but not to the GBC of West Bengal, GBC Society of West Bengal. So what's the deal with that?
And we'll see Bashu Ghosh Prabhu's reply. Bashu Ghosh Prabhu says, good question. One I cannot answer because I really do not know. What does it say? I was not involved at all in the decision-making process of registering the GBC Society in West Bengal. You see what he's saying?
He's whining that he's not responsible for it.
Yeah?
Or he's excusing himself.
Yeah, good question. One I cannot answer because I really do not know why I was not I really do not know. I was not involved at all in the decision-making process of registering the GBC Society in West Bengal. Huh?
Yeah.
And then he says, yes, Prabhupada had each center in USA and I suppose in other countries outside of India. And then he says, but in India, Prabhupada registered Iskcon as one institution at Bombay. We believe that he was legally competent and knew what he was doing. As I recall, Garga Muni proposed to Prabhupada a separate registration at Kolkata, but it never happened. And then further he goes to say, yes, Prabhupada had each center in USA and I suppose in other countries outside of India register separately. So you see what's going on here. Bashu Ghosh is one of the top leaders of so-called GBC Society of West Bengal. And he himself has no idea who registered it, why was it registered, or his bluffing.
I think
Huh?
I say bluffing.
You say bluffing. Okay,
Well,
yeah.
I would say that he accepts what is there because it's there. He's operating within the context of what is there. I don't think he's really, I don't know if I would agree that he's bluffing. I think he's simply stating these things. I have to deal with what I can within that structure. I have no idea how that structure came to place.
Well, I know how it came to place, and I will explain that in the next few meetings. Well, and so I'm just asking Bashu Ghosh Prabhu to answer these questions, you know, and apparently he is not able to answer these questions, you know. And then I further asked this question to Bashu Ghosh Prabhu. This is a follow-up after what he had written. So that begs another question. Why would someone who is the local temple president, for example, I'm in Sacramento, if I were to start a temple in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness name, why would I give ownership and entitlement to these Society of West Bengal, GBC Society of West Bengal, when they're not even local? Why would I even want to do that? This is already against Srila Prabhupada's instructions. He has not answered that part yet.
Is that your voice?
Yes.
Yeah, very beautifully put. Very beautifully put.
Then I said here to his this message here, which we read, GBC refers to the governing body commission, which is ISKCON's highest ecclesiastical authority. The GBC is a distinct body independent of this corporation and operates under its own rules, regulations, and principles. Okay, so I asked a question to that to this from the ISKCON bylaws. Why have local directors? Why follow Prabhupada when they are independent of this corporation? GBC Society of West Bengal is authority. So I'm saying, why follow Srila Prabhupada, you know? Because Prabhupada, you know, apparently is not the authority here. And then saying independent of the society. So if the GBC is independent of this corporation, which is, for example, ISKCON Sacramento, why should I, you know, why should I even give them anything?
Well, there's another interesting question, is there not? They call themselves ecclesiastical authority. But where was the GBC ever conceived of as an ecclesiastical anything? Ecclesiastical has to do with your access to God.
Yes.
The GBC was never designed to be your access to God. It was your access to other temple presidents.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where is the how can you say highest ecclesiastical authority when there's no question of ecclesiastical in the GBC? Where do they obtain the term ecclesiastical to apply to the GBC? And if I could add a little touch extra, the highest ecclesiastical authority of ISKCON or of the GBC, highest ecclesiastical authority, that is a term taken straight from a reference to the Pope, who is the highest ecclesiastical authority of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
But they can't do that because they have so many gurus.
Yeah.
They would have to have highest ecclesiastical authority for each guru, and they can't do that. Whereas in the Catholic Church, you have one Pope.
Yeah. So
it could be that Mahaprabhu would like to make some comment on that, perhaps.
Not at this time, Prabhu. I'm driving.
All right. Let's keep going then. So you see my question, why follow Srila Prabhupada when they are independent of this corporation? GBC Society of West Bengal is authority. So, I mean, this is not making any sense here, you know? They're saying they're independent.
That's why I think that it's possible to split off the GBC from ISKCON.
Yeah. They're actually not GBC.
Doesn't agree. Bobby Hebert wants to destroy ISKCON and destroy the GBC. Mainly, I mean, he's seeing, here's these guys with their money's pockets stuffed with money. Let's go with pistols and hold them up and take their money, and because they're crooks. But I don't care if they have money or not. Krishna has more money than they do, I believe. Would we agree on that point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Krishna has more money than anybody. So, so why would I want to be concerned about their money? I'm more concerned about what you're concerned about, what you brought up, and what you very intelligently stated was the authority. There is no such authority ever granted under the name GBC by Prabhupada.
Yeah.
And if this has nothing to do with Prabhupada, then what is it there for?
Yeah. I asked him this question: how do you justify this as per the direction of Srila Prabhupada? You know, this GBC Society of West Bengal being the ultimate ecclesiastical authority and being independent of any ISKCON corporation which is created locally, and the GBC Society of West Bengal being their ultimate authority. You know, you see how this is going? You incorporate locally under the banner of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The GBC Society of West Bengal is not even local, but you pledge allegiance to them being the highest authority, and them having nothing to do with your local temple or local ISKCON.
Ramachandra, you clearly understand why they did that, right?
Why? Tell me. I would like to hear.
Because it would prevent effective lawsuits. In other words, supposing somebody is suing the Detroit Temple. You said you can't sue the Detroit Temple. You have to sue the Society of West Bengal. They can't. So that's the only reason they did that.
It's a technical reason that they're using this for. Okay.
Well, technical, it's not so much technical as it is they're protecting themselves from lawsuits. And the lawsuits were very real. There was the Gurukula lawsuit. There was the
Robin George, Wendell Turley. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is making
By the
more
way,
and more
it turns
sense.
out that Wendell Turley turns out to be a good guy. Not necessarily in ISKCON, but definitely in national politics.
So then I asked Bashu Ghosh, who is behind the creation of this? He has not answered these questions. So either he will answer or he will not answer.
Okay, so I mean, it's easy enough. If you want an answer, I can give the answer myself.
Oh yeah, you have given the
I
answer.
basically have given you an answer. They sat down and said, what the hell are we going to do to keep from getting sued? Because what happened in New Dorka, all those buildings were paid for. The temple was paid for. Everything was paid for. Then they came up with the Gurukula lawsuit. They had to mortgage themselves down to the ground. And they've been paying ever since to get the buildings back again. So
Yeah.
if it is West Bengal, who's going to go to not just West Bengal, Calcutta, or where are you going to go? No, Mayapur, a little island out in the middle of nowhere. Who's going to go there and do a lawsuit?
Yeah.
Nobody, right?
Right.
So that's what it's about. But the very thing which is supposedly saving them from external lawsuits will defeat them from our point of view, because we can say, you're not representing the temples. Look at the direction of management. The GBC represents the temples, not that the temples hide inside of the GBC of West Bengal.
Yeah. So just want to say some things now. This Zoom meeting we just had about this, it's a little technical for people who are watching online, and if they have any questions or comments, they can contact us and get clarification. will point
That's
you in
wonderful.
the right direction, because an average ISKCON person who stumbles upon this video, this probably won't make any sense to them, right? That's
Well, it all depends. I mean, if they want to know why it's the society Bengal, if West Bengal, then the idea is to protect against lawsuits. End of story. I mean, what else do you need to know about it?
But why
They
would
don't have
it?
any?
Yeah, you know, yeah. So
Otherwise, it probably creates more problems for them than it solves
yeah, right.
to have such a centralization. Now, as far as Prabhupada centralizing ISKCON in India, that's another can of worms. And I think it has something quite possibly to do. What was that organization we were talking about that came about with the independence of India?
I have no idea. Maybe the Indian devotees can.
No, I remember you and I we were talking about it. It was Vasa Ghosh. There were 3 entities, right?
Oh, you mean the ICC, the Bureau?
There's the ICC, the Bureau. The Bureau was created at the time of the independence of India.
Oh,
And
yes, yes.
it's very possible that Prabhupada had no alternative but to work with the Bureau in order to incorporate ISKCON, which meant not each individual temple.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure, but it seems to me that has all the likelihood to it.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah. Okay, I'd like to share one more thing. So in this meeting.
Absolutely. What you're doing is brilliant and magnificent. Thank you.
Yeah, devotees need to understand these things to, so they can save Krishna consciousness movement.
We have the group with Yasoda and other. You should hear what Jita Radha has to say about Yasoda.
Okay, we don't want to discuss that here, okay? We don't want to discuss.
We don't want to discuss it here. But what I would like to point out is there is a group of people, and never mind who's in that group. Do we know? I mentioned one person, but in that group of persons, they want to destroy ISKCON and the GBC. So we want to destroy the GBC, meaning prove that they are illegal, but we do not want to destroy ISKCON because ISKCON, Prabhupada said, ISKCON is my body. He created ISKCON. As far as we know, ISKCON came from Krishna Loka. If you destroy it, anyone who tries to destroy ISKCON, in my humble opinion, and there's a lot of people who think I'm way off base, but in my humble opinion, anyone who wants to destroy ISKCON will destroy their own devotional creeper.
Okay,
and
so
the devotional creeper of many others as well.
Yeah, so here, this is from the original ISKCON incorporation from 1966 that Srila Prabhupada had filed with the city of New York. This is very important. This is, I will read it. Or Rupa can read it. Rupa, are you there? Can you
I'm
read
here.
it? Number 4?
Okay. Number 4. The corporation is not organized for profit, and no part of the net earnings of the corporation shall inure to the benefit of any private shareholder or individual. What does inure mean, Narayan?
Shall inure, be granted over to.
Okay. I'm going to start over. 4th, the
Yes.
corporation is not organized for profit, and no part of the net earnings of the corporation shall inure to the benefit of any private shareholder or individual. In the event of the liquidation or dissolution of the corporation, whether voluntary or involuntary, no member shall be entitled to any distribution or division of its remaining property or its proceeds, and the balance of all money and other property received by the corporation from.
Okay, let me go to the. So I'd like to go again to the first part. This
What
corporation.
is it that I'm reading?
Oh, this is the original Srila Prabhupada's original incorporation document for ISKCON, 1966.
Exactly. This is exactly what we should put into effect.
Yeah, these so-called GBC, criminal GBC and this criminal organization, they are benefiting by, profiting from Prabhupada's
By
movement.
having their own set of bylaws
Yeah,
and being distinct from ISKCON.
yeah, yes. So you see here, this corporation is not organized for profit, and no part of its net earnings of this corporation shall inure to the benefit of any private shareholder or individual. So this individual GBC man and guru man and yes man,
He
and
don't get shit.
Temple president man, temple commander man,
They
yeah,
don't get
Sankirtan
shit.
truck driver man.
yeah,
Nothing.
yeah. So they are breaking all the rules and regulations set in the original ISKCON charter, the constitution. So, yeah,
That's why it's very important to keep the ISKCON. ISKCON means the ISKCON charter. It doesn't mean this building or that building or this person or that person. It means that the charter. And then if you have a building that is called ISKCON, that belongs to the charter.
yes,
End of story, right?
yes,
That's why we have to work so hard together to separate the condemnation of the GBC, which was never an existing organization, from the ISKCON, which is still an existing organization, but has been pirated by the GBC.
yeah. So, they're directly breaking this, standard set by Srila Prabhupada in 1966. So we can see what type of people they are, like they say, tell me who your friends are and I can tell you who you are. There's a quote,
Yeah.
something like that. So we can see who are these people that are directly benefiting, these individuals who are benefiting from Prabhupada's movement.
Yeah, I just looked up inure, and that's what it means. That's used to indicate to whose benefit or advantage the particular effect has been done for.
Try it.
Okay, that's inure, in case you're curious. Okay, now let's keep going.
So these are just some of the things that I've highlighted. I'll go more into detail about these things,
Yeah,
as I get more and more information from devotees who've been doing the research, and it will be presented here. So you can make your own decision,
now somebody just popped something up on my screen of my phone saying that ISKCON must be reestablished. I would like to argue that ISKCON is established and it doesn't need to be reestablished. It needs to be rendered cleansed, yes.
Yeah, we don't have to
Exactly.
make anything up, we just follow Prabhupada's direction and we have all the paperwork you need to be
1966.
successful. Yeah, we have that document. We have the direction of management. We have the original ISKCON constitution set up by Srila Prabhupada. And then we have the topmost urgency letter, all these things.
Exactly. And the topmost urgency letter, when I was talking with Jidurati, he was describing also exactly these exact same points about the incorporation of ISKCON, about the direction of management and the topmost. And I didn't mention the topmost urgency letter, and he pounced and said, "Don't forget the topmost urgency letter."
Yeah.
So he's completely on board with where we're coming from.
Okay, so there's some comments from our devotees here. Let me just read it over. So let's start with Deepak. No ground level average disciple wouldn't go this deep reading all this stuff, never knowing what is he or she signing up to. That's the average Sacramento devotee. They will not, unless they're curious and wanting to know the truth.
Not a single one of the people that joined at the same time I did, and there were seven initiated on one day and 7 initiated on another day. Not one of us checked the charter. Not one of us. Exactly. Thanks. Not a single one of us. Not a single one checked the charter. We just assumed that it was being done according to Prabhupada's will.
Assume.
It was. It was being done according to Prabhupada's intent.
Right. Huh.
It's only now that we have to correct things And it's not that hard to correct. All we have to do is go back to the charter and say, this is what this Iskcon is. And I think it will be clear.
Ronald,
Yeah.
What?
we should make a presentation on Facebook of those bylaws, the incorporation
Yeah,
papers.
and on the website too.
Yeah, yes, yes. We will do that.
And yeah, and really highlight that this is the way ISKCON is supposed to be run. And then we should do a side-by-side comparison of the GBC bylaws. Do you have a set of those?
Yes, I have that.
Okay, great. So you need to do a side-by-side presentation and show that Prabhupada's bylaws are pure, they're divine, they make sense, and it's what he wanted. And then on next to it, they can read for themselves, you know, like GBC Society of West Bengal owns the totality of the assets of ISKCON. And I mean, find that exact particular line and highlight it and say that they have made beneficiaries of themselves of ISKCON's assets. And then after that, write just with writing, just say that any person who wishes to become a member of ISKCON has to sign the bylaws on the right-hand side of the GBC Society of West Bengal.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent. So yes, excellent. So go ahead.
And then I'm reading some more comments from our devotees. I agree with Deepak Prabhu. After some time, every average devotee in ISKCON gets an itching sensation of getting initiated by one of those gurus. This itching is so intense that they are ready to ignore all their faults and background. This is Hussein Vinayak Prabhu saying that. And then this movement was the only thing that could save the fallen souls of Kali Yuga. Now the movement needs to be saved itself.
Who's talking?
That is Deepak Prabhu.
Yeah, he's right on the money.
Yeah.
Right on the money.
Is that Deepak that we talked to yesterday?
Yeah, that's the same Deepak Prabhu, yes.
Okay.
This is it. He's brilliant.
I agree with Vinayak Prabhu. Once you get to know the philosophy and Prabhupada gave is so rich and powerful that you would want to get fully associated with the movement, which is to get initiated and ready to do anything. Yeah, very good observation. Not knowing this deep knowledge, how they are going against Prabhupada, who started the very movement.
Yeah. So it's not the fault of ISKCON. If you look at the ISKCON charter, ISKCON is fine. If you say separate the GBC, all of a sudden, all the people that are getting paid in ISKCON no longer have the GBC able to pay them. And therefore, they will quit or do something, but they will not be able to continue with business as usual.
And then
that's why I am so very strongly raising the alarm, like the fire alarm, that there is an action being taken against sacred ISKCON in the name of defeating the GBC. And we don't want to even defeat the GBC. We want to install the GBC as elected representatives, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not that difficult to do, but there's big, powerful people that like to identify themselves as Ritviks that are against it. They're against what we're doing.
Okay, then there's some more comments. Let's see, what else is there? It's saying, amazing information, Ronald Prabhu. And then he says, ISKCON must be re-established into ways and standard that Prabhupada desired it to be. Well, ISKCON is already established and it just needs to be cleansed. Yes, just cleansed. We discussed that. And Deepak Prabhu is also saying, Prabhupada said, ISKCON can only be broken from inside. Otherwise, it cannot be impacted due to its purity
Okay, so what Prabhupada saying it can only be broken from inside, can be destroyed because of its purity, it indicates that ISKCON is from Krishna Loka.
Right.
Why should we consider otherwise? You know, it's only these materialistic guys that are thinking about money, money, money.
Money, money, money.
money, personal fame. I've written so many songs. I've played bass guitar. I've done all these things. And actually, all they have done is capitalize on Iskcon without even understanding what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, why would we want to go down that path as though Iskcon is no different than the GBC, the fake GBC? Now, real GBC is easy enough to identify. The temple presidents elect GBC for 3-year terms. And I like to point it out. Well, I pointed that out to Judarati, actually, and he liked the point immensely, that the GBC, elected GBC for 3-year terms, is very much like state senators. Let's say each temple is a state. It's like state senators electing senators for 4-year terms. And he liked that idea very much.
Okay.
Very intelligent guy, very, very intelligent. A little bit bitter, a little bit disappointed, a little bit disillusioned, but he doesn't mind. I mean, he said that people were stealing $40,000 worth of books out of a sea freight container, which I read something about. And he said, I let it go.
Okay, so let's see, what else is
Because
there?
he wants to see the books distributed.
Okay. Okay. Let me see if
Okay,
there's any
let's keep
questions.
going.
Prabhupada, any more comments, Prabhu? Well,
No.
okay. Let's see. Oh, I also asked this question to Bir Krishna. He has not replied, you know. And I asked the same questions to Bir Krishna, the ones I asked to Bashu Ghosh about who created the GBC Society of West Bengal, why was it created, and what is the purpose of it, you know.
Maybe he'll
won't know.
answer.
No answer, yeah.
Maybe he'll answer you.
Yeah,
If he
yeah.
doesn't answer you, it's like smoking gun. Like you have him over a bridge. You know what I'm saying?
Well, hasn't he already confessed that he's just a figure and he just doesn't know what the hell he's doing there, but he's just obeying the rules because that's all he's got left to be able to do?
Yeah, Bir Krishna is one of them. Whenever I ask him a very nice question, he answers with a yes, no, and some kind of 3-letter remarks, you know. Basha Ghosh is much better and much more, you know,
Just
Brahminical.
like the English level of a Japanese person.
Huh?
Yes, no, thank you, sorry.
Yeah.
So whenever I think of Bir Krishna, I remember back in 1973, Bir Krishna, it was sort of unusual because he and his wife must have gotten initiated at the same day. It was Bir Krishna and Bir Mala.
Huh. That's a nice.
So that's why I remember that. I even remember which apartment they lived in across the street from the temple.
Yeah, Bir Mala was initiated in 1972.
Oh yes, and Bir Krishna.
Let's see, Bir Krishna. Let's look up Bir Krishna. Let's see.
I was
Bir
still
Krishna.
in India in 1972.
B. Jacobs. He was initiated in 1972 also.
So they came together, no doubt, to the movement and were initiated on the same day.
Huh. Yeah.
Prabhupada liked to do things like that. It's sort of humorous, you know.
There we go. I'll show it to you guys so everyone can see. Yeah, Bir Krishna. Letter to Satsarup, Nairobi, 1972. Spiritual names below for B. Jacobs, Bir Krishna, 1972. So approximately, the first 19.
Oh, were they initiated the same day?
No, Bir Mala, I don't know. Let me look up Bir Mala. BIRMALA, Bir Mala. They wrote a Iskcon Vyasa Puja offering in 1972, but I do not know. Prabhupada does not mention her name in any letters, but her name does come up in 1972 in the Vyasa Puja books. Right here, you can see Vyasa Puja, 1972. So either she was initiated, sometime in 1972, or a little bit, before 1972. But most
But
likely,
often enough, Prabhupada would do that. Sometimes he'd do it with children. If children were twins, he'd give them funny names based on their being twins.
Like Maha Maya and Yoga Maya.
Yeah, exactly.
all right. So let's see.
Mahamaya, Yogamaya, are you talking about the children of, what's his name?
I don't know who they're the children of. I just know that there is a set of twins that Prabhupada initiated, and he gave them the names Maha Maya and Yoga Maya.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah.
Jai. Let's see. What else I have here? Let's see if there's any questions.
This is, you can see from the nature of the questions, people are extremely excited by what we're doing. They may say, well, how many thousands of people are excited? It doesn't really matter, because if one person is very excited, obviously he represents the excitement of many, many, many others that are not writing to us.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's an emotional thing. I mean, if you have a crowd of, if you have a whole bunch of, what you call it, sheep that are going along in a crowd, and one of the sheep, I mean, you can measure the sheep by the other sheep, you know what I mean? They all go at the same rate, same mentality. I
Okay.
don't know if that's a good example, but it boils down to that we're dealing with a crowd think. And I think we need to be very aware that we're dealing with crowd think. I have no idea what the Iskcon gurus are thinking, whether they're dealing with crowd think or not. But in the case of what we're doing, crowd think is very important, because
There.
if somebody raises his voice and says, this is what I think, how many tens, dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of people would say, yeah, I want to know the answer to that question too.
Jai,
You see what I mean?
the Iskcon gurus are probably thinking, not crowd thinking, what is my wallet thinking?
Yeah. Well, they have it paid, because all they have to do is sit there and people come to them and offer them money.
Yeah, the wallet is getting bigger. That's good.
And yeah, sure. But it doesn't affect anything. It doesn't make a difference in the world. It's just like everything Prabhupada said in, I think, your earliest comment that you read of Prabhupada. It's just ordinary behavior.
Yeah.
We got a message on chat from Maitreya and Maitreya to everyone. They're saying, we will spread this information everywhere. It's been hidden. It's been too long that information's been hidden. It's right time for it to come out. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Excellent. Do the needful, Prabhus, to spread our videos and make small videos out of it and get people on the Ishtagoshki meetings and get them to join. Yeah.
So you see, Ramachandra, that we're all working together on this Zoom call. It may be just a few people. We think a few people. It's not a few people. We're dealing with lots of people, and the Zoom call is simply triggering lots of people. So I think let's work together and make that happen. And
yeah, or
in
sometimes
another
like
10 or 20 years, you'll see the result.
Yes, Vinayak Prabhu, you were saying something. Yes.
Yeah, like if someone is trying to help, then we can just take some excerpts from our recordings and videos and post on social media, or they can help us organizing the YouTube channel with like different Zoom meetings, giving them proper titles about what has been discussed and what needs to be discussed. So that would be very much helpful.
Jai.
Yeah.
So anyone who's watching online on
all we know what to
Facebook,
do is to deal, like Ramachandra came up with these brilliant quotes and questions of Pasu Ghosh and stuff like that, because of that, you immediately trigger really the world of Iskcon, as many as people, and even if people don't hear what we're doing, they know somebody who's hearing what we're doing. So we should have great confidence in what we're doing.
Yeah, so anyone who's watching on Facebook, YouTube, and anywhere else, they can use our material and make it theirs. You know, it's not our material. We're just speaking on these things. It's your material, Prabhupada's material. So they're welcome.
It belongs to the public.
Yeah, it's belong to the public, so they can.
Public domain. Public domain.
Yeah, everything is discussed in public domain.
Information that they have a right to know.
Yes. Vinayak Prabhu, yes?
No, I'm just saying the same thing. Public
Excellent.
domain, MIT license, open source.
Yeah. So the fact that we are encouraged by what we're discussing is normal. It's natural because we are thinking of these things and we're discussing these things. But just imagine what other people are experiencing who are listening to the recording of what I'm saying right now. You know, they'll say, yeah, that's me too, me too.
Well, Jai, then join the WhatsApp group and then pose your questions and realizations, and let's fix the whole mess that has been created.
Well, we'll fix it bit by bit. But my feeling is that there's a huge number of people. Think of all the people that took initiation in the 60s and 70s and left the movement when the GBC became too obnoxious to deal with.
Yeah.
They are sitting there growling and maybe smoking pot, maybe drinking booze, whatever they're doing. But they are all pissed off because they had Prabhupada and now they don't, okay? They want Prabhupada and they were denied Prabhupada, and instead of being able to do what we're doing, they just quit and said, the hell with it, I guess that's all there's to it nowadays. You know, that's it. And then there's the people that come along later, said, oh, I really want to join ISKCON. Oh, yes, what a guru. Oh, well, maybe I'll hold off on joining ISKCON. Or worse yet, maybe I'll join ISKCON and not even believe that what I'm joining is the right thing. Maybe, you know, they also, okay, I got my Guru Maharaj, yada, 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 yada. I have my Guru Maharaj.
You have yours.
Now what? Now what? Oh, you got your Guru Maharaj. Now you get your second initiation. Then you get your third initiation. Then you get your 12th initiation. Oh, that's great. Now I've got 20 initiations. Now what?
None of them worked. Oops, well, what happened here? I spent 20 years trying to figure this out. What's going on here? Oh.
Yeah, well, that's what they're doing. I mean, can you imagine if we have any love or compassion for our fellow human being? Just look at those human beings. Now we could say, oh, look at these stupid people. They're following these stupid gurus. We can say that. But what if we just say, look at these wonderful devotees who want to be devotees of Krishna and are being cheated up the yin yang.
Yeah.
They're being cheated. And what are we going to do? Tell them, point our finger saying, you're stupid, you're stupid? Or are we going to say, oh my God, you must be rescued. Let's rescue them.
Jai.
And that's what we're doing. We're rescuing everybody, not just them.
We're rescuing them from the...
So we're rescuing people that were initiated by Prabhupada. We're rescuing people that were initiated by people after Prabhupada. And we're rescuing people that are from the new wave of gurus and all of that. And they are so conveniently mistaken. Oh, yes, my Guru Maharaj, she's a Kanistadakari. Yeah, but you have to therefore accept the Uttamadakari as your Guru Maharaj. Oh, what? Who said that? How about Rupa Manjari in the spiritual sky, meaning Rupa Goswami? What about the greatest authority you can imagine in the spiritual sky or on planet Earth is the greatest authority? How about that? Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I don't know, you know, that's what people do, you know, that's what they think. And it's very, very frightening and very disturbing that they don't know. Just like the whole thing with the word Ritvik. I'm going exhausted writing out hundreds of times. People in this group probably don't run into it, but I read out so many times. Prabhupada chose, Tamal chose Ritvik because he wanted a new organization, not Prabhupada's organization, which had been initiating devotees since 1970 and even perhaps before, who initiated the majority of Prabhupada's disciples were called officiating acharyas. And now they have to, but it means the same thing. Ritvik means the same thing. It does. If it comes from Tamal, it means the same thing as if it comes from Prabhupada. Yeah, it's the same thing. So you accept Prabhupada as equal to Prabhupada or maybe superior to Prabhupada? That's what I keep on dealing with. It's so frustrating. Anyhow,
Yeah, I just don't reply to them, you know.
What?
I just don't reply to them because they're taking Tamal's word Ritvik and putting it on their head instead of
I say, okay, so Prabhupada is my guru, my spiritual master. Tamal apparently is your spiritual master.
Okay.
We'll be satisfied with that.
Okay, we have some comments from our devotees.
Oh, wonderful. Amazing.
Yeah, all glories to Guru.
We're getting
and
more and
Govinda.
more comments every time we go on.
Yeah.
Please,
Jai.
let's
Mm.
wave some incense at our audience and say, come on, comment, come on with it.
So
Comment with us.
then they say Jai Shri Dwarkadish. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Aristo is saying Hare Krishna.
Jai.
And Rathayatra Prabhu says, all glories to the assembly of devotees accepting Srila Prabhupada as the only way to pure devotional service.
Jai.
Rathayatra Prabhu from somewhere, South India
Oh,
or something.
Rathayatra Prabhu, he's the guy that has an interesting background behind him, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's doing a lot of service in India. He's helping with the farm and
Is that
chanting.
the same Rathayatra Prabhu that is?
Yeah, the one you stayed with, I think, in Bangalore or something, right?
Oh, him? No, that's different Rathayatra Prabhu. Oh no, it's Jagannath Prabhu who's on our program, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
I was thinking about Jagannath Prabhu. Jagannath Prabhu, we have discussed some technical things. Does it really make sense to you where we're coming from? Because I know you've not been exposed to this. You're very, new in one sense to the Mizuki.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot today. It's a listening day for me.
Oh, listening day for you. Okay, now it's time for you to ask questions. Well, what
No,
questions?
I'm learning a lot. Thank you.
Oh, you like?
I think that would you say today is better than yesterday?
It's very different topics, but I like them both.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Right.
Yeah, different topics, right? Sometimes we get technical. I mean, it's not really technical, but these things for the person who's just reading Prabhupada's books, this may sound a little,
So it may sound
learning.
strange, but
Yeah.
for me, it's very difficult for me to say anything intelligent unless Ramachandra has been targeting the topics. When he targets the topics, it's incredible. I can say anything. It works.
Yeah, my thing is to get to the bottom line, get to the truth of the matter.
Right now, the bottom line is save Iskcon, get rid of GBC. If we can do that, that'll mean that we're against all the people that are so-called Ritviks.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the Ritviks want to get rid of GBC and get rid of Iskcon.
So, what do you think about the discussion, Jagannath Prabhu? I'd like to hear something from you, like what you have learned. Oh, Vinayak Prabhu, you were saying something, then Jagannath Prabhu.
Yeah, if we get rid of ISKCON, then how the things will go on?
What's your question? Get rid of ISKCON? No, we're not getting rid of ISKCON. We're establishing Prabhupada's ISKCON, which is as Prabhupada wanted it, not,
We believe that ISKCON came from Krishna Loka along with the Hare Krishna mantra.
Yeah,
Because
Prabhupada.
if you read Prabhupada's charter, it is so clear that it is Krishna consciousness, not some sort of manufactured thing like the fake GBC. And the real GBC never existed for 1/10 of 1 second. They refused. They refused to follow their charter that Prabhupada created for them.
I also recently learned that this direction of management and all these things Prabhupada had wanted filed with the original ISKCON constitution. So this would, as the movement grew, the movement, systematically got aligned to what exactly Prabhupada wanted. You get it?
Really?
Yeah.
So Prabhupada wanted the direction of management earlier?
No, I'm saying when the direction of management came and was signed, it should have been filed just like the Constitution, the original Constitution of ISKCON, meaning filed along with that. That okay, now Prabhupada wants this society managed like this.
Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying.
You know, so because
Yeah.
it was signed
100%.
and there were witnesses and there was appointments, so those would have went into the file of the archives where okay now, but they did not do that. The
They were
topmost,
very careful not to do that.
yeah, and the topmost urgency letter also. These are principal, fundamental, documents which were ignored.
Well, the topmost urgency letter was remedial.
Yeah. Yes.
There was no need for the topmost urgency letter, except that they had disobeyed the direction of management.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, if they'd obeyed the direction of management, or nobody would have written the topmost urgency letter. And
Yes.
there's one interesting thing about the topmost urgency letter is there's a couple of other points mentioned there, one of which was completely obeyed, and that was to put His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada in front of every single ISKCON temple on a like the way they do at churches, They have a sort of a sign thing out there and they make statements on it. So that's what Prabhupada wanted. And they did that. So I think my view is that Prabhupada tricked them by putting something that they could not avoid obeying if they read it, just to prove that they read the part about the direction of management and didn't obey it.
Yeah, here's the topmost urgency letter transcribed. Here's the facsimile. You can see here.
Yeah.
And then here's.
Oh, by the way, when you look at it, do you see
Looking at it now.
who's the signer and who's the witness?
Let's see. Approved. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, founder Acharya, signature Valimardan Swami, and Brahmananda Swami and Valimardan Goswami. So two people signed it, and with Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Let's see here. The signatures are here. See, Prabhupada signs on the right here. You can see first signature.
Yes.
See it? And then Brahmananda Swami. And then this is chairman, who's this Valimardan. So
Yeah.
this is very important. This is 1974, July 22nd. This is 4 years after the direction of management was written, right? 1970.
Yeah, this is the topmost urgency letter.
Yeah, so this is very crucial.
And it was
Why
in
not read?
capital.
It's not very long. Why not read it?
I will. Rupa, can you read, please?
Read it. Yeah. Topmost urgency in all capital letters. Amendments to be immediately added to all official registration documents.
See, registration documents. Registration means what? The original constitution. Okay, go ahead, Rupa. Sorry.
Registration documents, constitutions, incorporation papers, etc. 1. It is declared that His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of ISKCON International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He is the supreme authority in all matters of the society. His position cannot be occupied by anyone else, and his name and title must appear on all documents, letterheads, publications, and buildings of the society. In particular, it shall be clearly understood that no real estate may be purchased or sold by any officer of the society without the express permission of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Number 2, there shall be a governing board committee of trustees appointed by the founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, according to the document Direction of Management dated July 28, 1970. The GBC is to act as the instrument for the execution of the will of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Dated at New York, July 22nd, 1974.
So some important points that I like to discuss is first of all, you see the first line, amendments to be immediately added to all official registration documents, constitutions, incorporation papers, etc. So you see what I'm saying here? It should have been filed in the archives of the New York.
And Prabhupada knew that they had ignored it, so that's why he wrote this.
Yes, just
Yeah.
see. So we're in 2022. It still has not been filed.
Yeah.
Just see. Why hasn't it been filed? It was written in 1974. Amendments to be immediately added to all official registration documents, constitution, incorporation papers, etc. You know?
Exactly.
So my point of that Prabhupada's original 1966 incorporation constitution and registration documents, after that, the direction of management, and then this, it should have been immediately filed. So we can see systematically that how they have disobeyed Srila Prabhupada's instructions. So that's why we're bringing this to the public's eye. Like, okay.
And he was protecting himself from being turned into a corporate entity himself.
Yes. And look at what's going on now. GBC Society of West Bengal.
Yeah.
And they have their supreme autocratic rulers, topmost ecclesiastical authority. Where the hell did they get that, instruction from?
Well, that is a description of the Pope of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
No other source is there. In other words, it's not something that you're going to find in the Vedas or in Krishna consciousness or in the writings of the Goswamis or anything like that.
Jai. So we can see here how Srila Prabhupada was operating. He was he was under attack from all sides, you can say,
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's also interesting because the topmost urgency letter could be used to defeat the GBC.
Yeah. Yes. So everything, Prabhupada has already defeated them before they even got started.
Well, they had gotten started because 4 years before they refused to acknowledge the direction of management.
Yeah, Prabhupada even says here, number 2, there shall be a governing body committee of trustees appointed by the founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, according to the direction of management dated July 28, 1970. And then he says, the GBC is to act as the instrument of the execution of the will of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Now, the will of His Divine Grace was the direction of management. And then
now, this mentions the direction of management, correct?
Yes.
But you know that most devotees, most temple presidents had not even seen the direction of management until years later.
Yeah.
And Hari Vilas in Seattle told me he didn't see it until 79.
Oh, wow. 9 years later. Huh.
Well, 9 years after the direction of management, but 5 years after this paper.
No, you said 1979. So you said Hari Vilas did not see it till 1979. 70 was the direction of management. 79 is 9 years, 8 years?
Now that's 9 years, but I'm talking about from the topmost urgency letter.
Oh, acha. I see. Okay. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these things were hidden during Prabhupada's time, systematically hidden. So
they were.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rupanuga, as you know, Rupanuga showed me the direction of management in 1971.
Vrindavan, you said New Vrindavan.
New Vrindavan,
yeah.
And the other GBC, it was a funny place. It was like a pigsty or something made of logs, sort of a log cabin for pigs. And they were all situated in there. And nobody thought anything badly of that, of course. But Rupanuga called me to the door and said, Narendra, this is the sort of thing that would interest you, your particular way of thinking. And so I came over
Hare
and he
Krishna.
showed me the direction of management. But the other people in the room, the other GBCs, they were scowling at Rupanuga and they didn't want me to be reading it.
Huh.
And I said, so if this is, Prabhupada has written this, why isn't it being distributed? And he said, well, it will be, but not yet.
It will be,
So
but not yet.
meant I didn't, after having seen it in New Vrindavan in
You got locked.
1971,
Yeah.
I didn't see it again until 1992 when I was able to get it off of the database.
And this is very interesting how it was thrown, it was locked up with, the document was locked up or missing,
Yeah.
went missing.
Well, and talking about it being locked up, some years I kept on asking for it wherever I went,
Right. Chaitanya.
So sort of like one of these mythological figures going around searching for things, Where is this? Where is this? And so I asked Jai Tirtha, who was formerly my roommate, formerly basically, well, my protege. I wouldn't say best friend because he wasn't not really that smart, but my protege. And I trained him up in so many things. I took him to India to on buying trips and stuff like that.
Yes.
And so when I came to Jai Tirtha, maybe it must have, what year, I don't know, 77, something like that, maybe 78. And I said to Jai Tirtha, where is a copy of the direction of management?
It's locked away.
And he looked at me and, he's got this Arabic, Germanic
Whatever it is.
snarl on his face. And he looked at me and said, it is locked. He knew exactly that I knew which safe it was locked up in because I put the safe there in Corando's office. So he pointed and said, it is locked in a safe there. He pointed in the direction that I knew exactly which safe it was. And you will never have a chance to see it. He actually used those exact words. You will never have a chance to see it.
Next day, he got his head chopped off, no?
Huh? It'd be great if I could have had a cell phone in those days and taken a few movies of him saying that.
Yeah.
But you can see the level of the conspiracy was technically horrendous.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow. Okay. Now I just want to get some opinions from devotees here. Jagannath Das Prabhu, what do you thought about our discussion today?
I learned something new about that Ritvik word. I didn't know it was from Tamal because I've been reading the Back to Prabhupada magazine.
Yes.
That's very Ritvik.
May I make a comment? Now, after July 9th letter, July 10th, or any other time after that, Prabhupada mentioned the word Ritvik at those times because Tamal had forced it into that document. But Tamal, on May 28th was a room conversation that has gone down in history for a million different reasons. And in that conversation in May 28th, Prabhupada said, they were talking about Prabhupada, they were trying not to sound greedy and said, well, Prabhupada, what about how initiations in the future? That's before we realized that the initiating guru has to be an Uttama Adhikari. So they were all thinking, well, here the old man is dying, who's going to inherit his money? That's basically what they were thinking. Like grandpa's dying, now who's going to inherit his house? Who's going to inherit his Rolls Royce? Who's going to inherit this or who's going to inherit that? They were so transparent about what they wanted. Anyhow, not to get caught up in that, but they said, well, about what are we going to do after you are, I don't want to use the word gone, for initiations. And Prabhupada said, I will appoint some of you to be officiating acharyas. Those are his exact words, officiating acharyas. And Tamal pipes up and says, is that Ritvik? And Prabhupada said, yes. But Prabhupada has never, people say, well, Prabhupada, Tamal, it was just the same term, everybody used it. I challenge anyone to go through Prabhupada's writing and find the term Ritvik used anywhere. Ramachandra and I did a good chunk of it, and we went through it and we saw the word Ritvik, Ritvijaha, and a bunch of other Ritvik things were there in the Sanskrit. In the Sanskrit translation, it was Ritvik was translated into something like officiating priest or something of that sort, but never in the verse, never in the purport, ever. So you might say, well, where did Tamal get that term Ritvik from if it wasn't from Prabhupada's writing? Oh, but it's in Prabhupada's writing, it's mentioned so many times. I say, well, find it for me, show it to me, and I'll believe you. But all they can do is find it after July 10th, not before July 11th and 9th. So then in the preliminary conversation leading up to the July 9th letter, which is public domain, anyone can read it at once. When they come up to that, Prabhupada, the people will ask you, well, how do you want things to continue after when you are, I'm gone? How do you want things to continue after you're finished being poisoned, I should say? And Prabhupada said, I will appoint some of you to be officiating acharyas.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, second time in a couple of months, he said, officiating acharya. So Kamal says, oh, do you mean Ritvik? Is that the same as Ritvik? Prabhupada said, yes. So now the thing to understand about the July 9th letter, in case you're interested in it, and that is that the July 9th letter, first of all, it doesn't say Ritvik in the July 9th letter. It says Rittik, R-I-T-T-I-K, not Ritvik, there's no V, typo or something to that effect. But what happened is that Tamal forced the use of the term Ritvik. Interestingly, when you look at the July 9th letter.
Can we speed it up? We got a little time and I got to read some comments. So.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I will speed it up. That Tamal writes on July 9th at the very bottom, as the author, your servant, Tamal Krishna Goswami, Secretary to Srila Prabhupada, and he is the author of that paper. People don't notice it. To me, it makes a big difference because I have a sort of a legal background, somewhat legal background, and the fact that he uses that that Prabhupada did not sign it as the author, to me is quite significant. But I have a feeling that, and I have no way to prove this, that if Prabhupada, if they had used the word officiating acharya, the Prabhupada would have signed it. Because officiating acharya, this is the last thing I'm going to say, is that officiating acharyas conducted initiations. Prabhupada had 5,000 disciples at the time that he entered Samadhi. How many of those did he do fire sacrifices for? I mean, let's be generous, maybe 2,000 out of 5,000. I don't think it was, maybe 1,000 out of 5,000. So it meant all the rest of them were done by officiating acharyas, which is why Tamal didn't want to use the word officiating acharya, because he wanted to put Ritvik, and guess what? It worked. It stuck for all of these years until now, and we've nailed it. Okay, that's the end of that, unless there's a question.
Thank you. Very interesting.
It's pretty fascinating. You know?
So we have about 5 minutes. I'll just read the comments and then we'll discuss, and then we'll end. So Lenny Sislak, he's one of our devotee friends, and he always, mentions very good points, and he has great insight on exactly what happened and this and that. It's a great source of ISKCON history. Lenny Sislak, good points, but nearly 50 fake ISKCON gurus have spiritually destroyed the movement in the West. Ritvik or no Ritvik is no longer an issue. For example, tens of thousands of disciples have offered their food to Bhagavan, Harikesh, Jai Tirtha, Bhavananda, Prabhu Vishnu, Rameshwara, Hansaduta, Prithu, Gunagrahi, Umapati, etc. Is that then prasadam when food is offered to conditioned souls? No, this is still bhoga, and this was distributed for decades all over the world as prasadam. Now disciples are offering their food directly to Krishna, which Prabhupada has strictly rejected. That's how pure chaos, what is this word?
Reigns.
Oh, this is how pure chaos reigns. Yeah. Spiritually,
Reigns means like becomes king.
Okay. Spiritually, the movement is inoperative. It is a material Hindu association. And then he gives a quote to Prabhupada's letter to Jadurani dated February 15, 1968. Prabhupada says, Prabhupada, regarding offering food, the custom is to offer the foodstuff to the spiritual master. We cannot do anything directly. The spiritual master accepts the offering on behalf of his disciple and offers the same to Krishna. After Krishna's eating, the spiritual master eats it, and then the devotees take it as Mahaprasadam. This is the system. Everything is offered to the spiritual master first with prayer, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. Okay. So Lenny Sislak's comments, he says, 50 fake ISKCON gurus have been spiritually destroyed the movement in the West. And then he says, Ritvik or no Ritvik is no longer an issue. Tens of thousands of disciples have offered food to the so-called 50 fake ISKCON gurus. He names them here. Then he says, is that then prasadam when food is offered to conditioned souls? No, it is still bhoga. And this was distributed for decades all over the world as prasadam. Now disciples are offering their food directly to Krishna, which Prabhupada has strictly rejected. So, what can be said? That is the history of the facts, that this was done. So why not change that, situation around to...
There would be the question that they thought they were offering to a guru, so therefore Krishna will partially accept it as an offering to the guru. But in a sense, the fact that the Lenny Sislak's point is strong, because if it's not really the guru, it's fake.
Yeah.
It's just like the devotees were offering worship to a basil plant, the cooking basil plant, in Spain instead of to Tulsi Devi. And they said, oh, we wasted all our time, our money, and all of our incense and prayers. Prabhupada said, no, you thought you were initiating, you thought you were offering to Tulsi Devi, so she will accept it. But then they had to quickly switch over to serving actual Tulsi Devi. So
okay.
There will be some benefit, but not very much benefit from what he's saying.
Okay, so we're just about 10 o'clock. I'd like to thank all the devotees for the wonderful participation and discussion here. And if anyone has any questions, comments, anything else, please join our WhatsApp group or send me a message, comment on the video, and then I'll read it out aloud in our next session. And then, what is today?
Today's Thursday.
Today's Thursday, okay. So
Thursday the 23rd.
Take it.
Jai, okay.
Yeah. Please take into account that if somebody has another question, we make a policy of answering all these statements or questions so that people don't feel rejected, even if it takes us over 5 minutes.
Yeah, so there's no questions. That's about it.
Okay.
Then we'll end here. Thank you very much to all the devotees for watching. Please feel free to share, like the videos, comment, chop it up, and share whichever section you think is most important and what devotees and other people have to hear.
Yeah, and I understand that you're making these videos out of the sessions here. People are crazy about those. I hear from people all the time how much they appreciate these videos that you're making.
Okay,
And
well,
you're the only one that knows how to do that. But anyhow, it's fantastic.
okay, thank you, Prabhus. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Oh,
All
glory
glories
to
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
Jai
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.